Hello guys, this is PantsMarcy36 and today's video is going to be another weathering tutorial. This time it's going to be on making all the mud and other earth effects on this Panzer IV here. As you can see, it is entirely weathered except for, the muddy stuff down here. And I'm just going to show you how I do that. I have a general system, and I've already showed this a couple times, other ways of doing this, and my weathering the T62 video. I think also on weathering the other Panzer IV with the whitewash. I did really heavy mud effects on that one. Probably too heavy, but it was pretty fun, so yeah. But I'm going to go a little lighter this time, I hope. That's what I always say, and then there's always a crap ton of mud on there anyways, but yes. So to start off with, we are going to use this MIG Mud Splash Wash, and I'm just going to apply it over the running gear and everything down here as just a really thick wash. Now that that wash has dried, as you can see, it has also kind of created almost like a dusty effect down there, along with just being a wash. Yeah, so next up, I'm going to be making a kind of pigment slurry, almost, I guess, in which I'm just going to take some of this MIG dark mud pigment, and I'm going to thin it down a little bit with a thinner. Really, any thinner can work here as long as it won't react with the base paint you have on there, so I'm going to use this AK Mineral Spirit, or sorry, White Spirit here, but you can use anything really. So I'm just going to put mostly pigments and a little bit of thinner to make it kind of almost like mud. I'll apply it on, and then it will dry, and then I can actually kind of work at it and move it around a little bit, scrape most of it off is probably what it's going to be, and then I can go with different colors and have different tones to the mud. So as you can see, the layer of mud pigment slurry is on, and it's mostly dry. I did a second layer with some darker brown, as you can kind of see in places like here and here, the darker, deeper down sections. That was with MIG's Track Brown, which is a darker brown. I used MIG's Dark Mud for the lighter areas. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of the thinner I used, and I'm just going to kind of go back over and work at the buildup of mud and stuff like that. Now I'm going to be dry brushing a layer of this paint here from Tamiya XF77 over the raised metal bits of the tracks right now, after that mud is dry. So as you can see, I've got a nice kind of built up, dusty, muddy, mostly muddy right now, layer on the hull there. And now I'm just going to work at it a little more, but instead of using thinner, I'm going to use this here AK Interactive product, which is Dust Effects. It's quite gray, but once I apply it, it'll kind of soften up the thinners again, which will bring a little bit of brown into this gray as well. So hopefully, if everything goes like I have tested on the bottom, it'll look pretty nice. If not, I'll just add more mud over the top of it and just keep on going. As you can see, the Dust Effects has added a nice, I guess, dusty effect, you could say, over the mud there. I really like it. Never really used to pour this way, but I think it's quite interesting. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a light dusting over just kind of like the edges of the wheels and maybe the just the bits of the bogies there that are kind of exposed towards the top. With this MIG pigment here, which is dry mud, you can see it's kind of like a sandy brown color. And then I'm also going to apply a wash just to the crevices around the bogies and all the details down there to simulate areas where the probably wouldn't be dust and maybe the effects would still be, like the mud would still be wet. Now I'm going to use some of this AK track wash, which is basically a really dark brown wash color, to just add some kind of wet effects, maybe grease and stuff like that dripping down from any points up there and from the wheels. And also just some kind of wet effects, just kind of darker effects in there, along with that wash I just applied. So now I'm going to be applying some more of the same MIG dry mud pigment over the upper bit of the side of the hull, kind of along here where the mud effects kind of start, just to blend it in a little more. So with that, I'm going to call it done on the weathering. I'm very pleased with what I've achieved so far, so I'm going to call it quits now. As you can see, the dust effects, which is that grayish color almost in there, I'm not sure if it looks more like frost or dust actually. And either way I do like it because the way I painted this vehicle up, it's a late 1944 scheme, so kind of like fallish period. And I use lots of white oils, so I want to make it look cold. So frost on there wouldn't be, too unplausible. So you can see in the front there, I did the same effects there. But I'm going to try the same effect again, but I'm going to use the AK Africa dust effects instead of just the normal dust effects, because that's more of a beige than this gray. So I'll see how that goes, probably on my 234 I'm working on now. And I'll let you know how that goes, probably make a video on it too, I always do. But I'm very pleased with what I achieved on there. Didn't use that many products, though I'm not going to call that a basic technique. I used a fairly high number of them, but I'll show you what I used just in a minute here. On the rear, same thing basically. Just a lot more dust on the back there with that dust pigment. Yes, so the products I used on it, I'll just show you here. I had the 3 pigments here. I had the track brown, which is the darkest pigment, dark mud, which is like a mid color, and then I had the dry mud, which is the dusty color I used. I also used this gray as a highlighting on the tracks, but that's pretty simple. Then I use these 3 products here. I have the AK Dust Effects, which is the main product I used to get that interesting effect. White spirits, obviously, just to kind of work at the mud. And then I had the 2 washes here. So I had this wash, which is a lighter color, and this wash, which is a darker color. You don't have to use these exact washes to get basically the exact same effect, just light and dark washes. And I think you could probably do the exact same effect using, like, you don't need the track brown, the darkest color, and you probably don't need the light MIG wash, so you can probably just use any dark wash like this, a mud color and a dust color, and then you need the white spirit and then just the dust effects here. And you probably get basically the exact same result. So I'm going to say that these are the main products you need. All 5 of these here. But yes, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys are as pleased with the results as I am. If you are interested in any way of asking questions or anything like that, or if you have any similar methods that get interesting results, please post them in the comments. I'm sure I, as well as other people, will be interested in your opinion or ideas, stuff like that. Yes, so I'll have more weathering videos coming up as always. Every time I weather a tank, I basically film it, so yep. I always like to try a new effect, and this one I'm actually really pleased with. I never tried it before, but Dust Effects is actually cool stuff. So thanks for watching, guys. As always, this is Pigment Slurry 36, and goodbye.